today's revision class, we shall revise the poem A Thing of Beauty, composed by John Keats. John Keats was an English romantic poet. Romantic poets were known for their sensuous description of nature in their writing. In other words, the main theme of these poets was return to nature. So, there's no second thought that this poem, A Thing of Beauty, was the result of Keats' deep influence and inclination towards nature. Through this poem, he redefines beauty. Now, here's some additional information about the poem given to you. This poem is an extract from first volume of the book Endymion, a poetic romance, based on a Greek mythology that features the love story of Endymion, who is a young shepherd, and Cynthia, a moon goddess. Endymion was so determined to find her that he journeyed through the land and forest, and when he was unable to find her, he tragically enters the sea. So that's the inside story of the book Endymion. So when you read the poem, you will find that in the entire poem, there's a rhyming couplet with the sequence AABB, and the poem is adorned with several poetic devices and imagery. Now let's understand the theme of the poem. The poem expresses a common theme, that is return to nature. The poet, through this poem, wants us readers to draw close to nature. The romantic poets, and so Keats, too believed that in this materialistic life, where everything is transient and perishable, it's only the natural beauty that remains eternal and indestructible. That's why the poet says, A thing of beauty is a joy forever, which means that every object or part of nature is a source of eternal happiness and peace. Nature is an educator, a teacher, a philosopher, and a guide. So it goes without saying that nature in itself is an institution. Every cycle of life that flows or exists in nature teaches us the important values of life and purifies our mind and soul. That's the power of nature. It takes away all the negativities which makes us feel depressed and gloomy. According to Keats, beauty lies in every details of nature. All he wants us is to appreciate and treasure this ultimate gift of God. Now let's move ahead with the explanation of the text. In the first stanza, the poet says, A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, which means that a thing or object of beauty remains a source of joy forever, as it never loses its charm and will remain eternal. These beautiful sights will cherish in our memories forever. The poet further says, but it will keep a bower for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams, and a health and quiet breathing. Now, through these lines, the poet compares the soothness of the nature similar to the bower, that means with the shade of a tree that provides us a good sleep full of sweet dreams and inner peace. The overall idea conveyed in this stanza is, it goes without saying that in the absence of these beautiful things, the world would remain a miserable, wretched, dark place, and our life will be occupied with boredom and iniquity. So, in such case, this bits of natural beauty will keep us charged and motivate us and guide us and will make our existence possible. So, apparently, this was the view which was held by all the poets of the Romantic age. Now, moving on to the second stanza, the poet writes, "Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth." So the poet communicates through these lines that every morning, the word morrow here means morning. So every morning when we wake up after a sound sleep, we find ourselves close to nature. This closeness or attachment has been referred to the flowery band, where flowers are closely connected in a drift. The underlying meaning of these texts is that these flowery or these pretty things would motivate us to remain attached and be a part of this world. In order to experience this closeness or attachment, we need not to go any far, but it can be perceived in every corner of this earth. So the poet further says, despite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of the noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways met for our searching. So in the given lines, the poet conveys the thought that despite of all turbulences, miseries, and despite of all the virtues and strength, we still continue to live. Its reason is the beauty of nature that gives us strength to live. No doubt, the time or the century in which we exist is overshadowed by dark negative thoughts. The world in which we live is full of savage and self-centered people. There is no honesty or humility left. But above all this uh, beauty or power of nature that binds our faith and urges to overcome all the hurdles and storms of life. Fiction, the poet further writes, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits, which means that in spite of being surrounded with gloominess and difficulties in life, in some way or the other, beauty does manages to come into our life and chase the negativity out. Now note that the metaphor dark spirits here refers to all the vices and flaws that exist in human character. The poet further lists down the beautiful things that drives out all the boredom and melancholy from our life. He writes, such as the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for a simple ship. All these incredible objects of nature that the poet mentions here are boon even for a simple ship. Now note that the word simple ship is used both in a literal and biblical sense. Literally, the word simple ship means or refers to the common creature that draws every comfort from nature. While in the biblical context, ship is a reference to the follower of God, or in other words, to Christ. In other words, or the underlying meaning conveyed here is nature is unbiased and available for every being on the earth, whether big or small. The poet further says that the same purpose is conveyed by these beautiful things, such as the daffodils with green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season, the mid-forest brake rich with sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms. All these objects of nature offer a beautiful sight. The poet in these lines talks of the greenery in which the daffodils live, surrounded by trees, and old, young, and streams of water which cool the earth during hot season. And so important are the ferns and the musk rose that spread their fragrance round the clock. So, all these beautiful sights of nature are so captivating that no soul can resist to appreciate it. And practically, if you see, if you observe, whenever we are exhausted from our daily work or routine life, we need a break. We prefer to spend few moments in we prefer to spend few moments with nature as they add freshness and vitality to our life. The poet further says, and such is the grandeur of the doom we have imagined for the mighty dead, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink, pouring unto us from the heavens' brink. The poet adds the idea that that the beauty is not merely in the things that stimulate our senses, but it even exists in those abstract things that deeply affects our mind and soul. According to the poet, beauty exists even in the stories of the legends and warriors. The story of their sacrifice and the heroic death is glorious and inspiring as they offer a deep philosophical wisdom, which is like a nectar for us. Keats further paints a picture of an endless fountain that pours from the heaven into our heart. Actually, the reason behind using this metaphor is that the poet expresses the idea that this beauty of nature immortalizes itself and will continue to serve as a source of immense joy for us. So, in writing this poem, the message that the poet conveys to its readers is that real beauty lies in the arms of nature. They are everlasting and serves as an eternal source of pleasure and contentment. Nature has an immense power. With its therapeutic quality, it takes away all the negativities of our life. It encourages us to be more hopeful and obtain positive outlook in life. So, respect nature and it will provide you with abundance. So, with this thought, we come to the end of the poem and do not forget to watch the previous videos of this lesson. That is all for today. Thank you.